Good evening, everybody, and Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel, scattered abroad, and believers in Yeshua Messiah. Welcome to Hidden Manna. I'm Pastor Dave Singh, Senior Shepherd here at Living Manna Church. Thank you so much for spending your Shabbat Eve with us. We appreciate it. Hanging out with us tonight. I hope you've had a good preparation day. I know it's already Sabbath here on the East Coast. It's happening within the next couple hours all across the country to the West Coast, but for us, it's already fallen. The sun is down. It's dark. It's evening time. So here we are. Shabbat is on us. And, of course, here we are at Hidden Manna. It's a conversation between my dear brother Max and myself. Hey, bro, how you doing?
Hey, buddy, how you doing? Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you.
You know, what I just thought of, as I was doing, my normal intro, Shabbat Shalom, 12 tribes of Israel. You know who's got a really good hook for Shabbat?
Who's that?
Michael Rood.
Oh, yeah.
Shabbat Night Live, right? It's SNL, right? It's Saturday night, right?
Live.
What a great hook. What a.
Well, you could have threw you live from New York.
Yeah, well, it would have been more accurate. Live from New York. It's Shabbat night. Yeah, but that'd be a little bit of plagiarism there. Hey, man. So how you doing, brother?
Doing well.
Good. I see people starting to come online now.
Yeah, some people jumping on. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom to everybody. As usual, I'm tired. It's been a crazy preparation day, but I'm also excited. I'm excited. We got some neat stuff to talk about. It's actually really a continuation of some of the conversation we were having last week. Really about the whole story and understanding the whole story. But Father's been good. I know it feels so weird not doing Wednesdays. Yeah, it really does.
I know. It's been messing up my my days of the week.
Yeah, me too. Except, I'm enjoying it, and that I've got a little bit more time. But I really want to spend this time really studying, and there's a whole bunch of things I want to share, and new studies and things like that. So. Hopefully we'll put the time to good use. And before you know it, we're already a couple of weeks into the counting of the Omer.
I know.
It's just going.
Shavuot is almost here. I can't believe how fast this season is going.
It's going so quickly. And before you know it, it'll be Shavuot. And then next thing, I know it sounds nuts, but we're going to be thinking about the full feasts.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. It's going to be upon us before we know it.
Isn't it amazing how Father, just gives us that pattern to do year after year after year to really drill it into us.
Yeah.
That this is the pattern, right? This is the way. This is the plan. This is the story, really.
Yeah.
Of what it's all about. And if you miss this, if you don't get this, if you're not understanding this, if you actually if you're not doing it is really what it comes down to, because it's always do first, right? Do first, understand later. And if you're not doing it, you're not going to understand it. But anyway,
same pattern we give our kids, right? Just do what I say.
you
learn.
You would think that would be the pattern.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always work out to be the pattern. Oh my goodness! I got to say something. I mean, I'm working on another message to deal with all this. I've been trying to stay away from political stuff, but it's so hard, man, because there's crazy stuff going on all around us. But can you believe that they deplatformed Tucker Carlson?
I know it.
Oh my! If you don't realize where we are,
where we are exactly.
Yeah, if you don't realize how evil, how dark, and it's not. I would, and I'm sorry if I'm offending people, but it's predominantly the Democratic Party. It's both. It's Republican. They both deplatformed him. They're both out there.
He ruffled feathers on both sides.
Yeah, it's a uniparty thing. They're together. But if you think about all the crazy things that are being pushed on us, this alternate reality that's being pushed on us, that we have to believe these things or imagine with people that these things are true. I saw this great show. I don't even remember what the name of the show was. I was watching something like a week or so ago, and it
Hmm.
was about some guy who thought he was a cop. Right, he was like one of those people that when there's some sort of police thing, he's always there, and he's at every
Got the
crime
scanner
scene.
and
He's got the
listens. Yeah.
scanner, and he knows all the lingo because when police officers, especially well, actually all police officers do, but there's that lingo that you hear in New York. It's a New Yorker guy.
Hmm.
There's the way that New York cops talk. The words they say, the codes they use.
Hmm.
He's likely or he's not likely. Those type of phrases. So this guy knows this stuff inside and out, inside and out. And what he does is he dresses up like a cop, and he
Oh
goes out
man.
on the beat every day, and he solves crimes. He does all this, and of course, the whole thing was that the guy's nuts.
Uh-huh.
The guy's crazy, and of course they capture him. They arrest him, and the whole storyline was that in his mind he thinks he's a cop.
Hmm.
But obviously he's not. He's nuts. He's crazy. The cops know he's crazy. Everybody knows
Hmm.
he's crazy, and nobody wants to play along with his delusion. And
Okay.
I'm watching this, and I'm saying, wait a minute.
But we do it every day
But
now.
we do it every day.
Hmm.
What used to be called nuts.
Hmm.
What is nuts? What is crazy that you can identify as whatever?
Hmm.
That's nuts.
Speaking of nuts, I was. Did you see that Hershey's commercial?
Yes. Oh, hers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did.
I mean, it really is. Where there's a couple of people out there that they have these. They go to colleges and they speak to these kids, and it's like, why can't I just identify then as a tree? And they're like, that's ridiculous. He's like, why?
Why?
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know.
Just I don't know how many years ago this would have been. This is still considered on the medical books. This
Hmm.
whole idea, this stuff that we're pushing on our culture. It's
Hmm.
a mental illness.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I forgot what the technical term is, but it's not true. And
Well,
yet
I
it's the
just
only
recently.
mental illness that we treat with surgeries and
Yeah, I
medication.
saw a respected, I think Harvard or I forgot what, but it was a big school professor who was saying there is no difference between a male and a female, even bone structure, and
Uh, oh
every
my goodness.
person who knows anything about science and bone structure was like, "Are you kidding me?" That's how they know throughout history this was a female and this was a man, and they're gonna
Right.
try and tell us now there is no difference even to that level.
And gender dysphoria. Thank you, so, Sister Paula. Yeah,
Yep.
gender dysphoria. It's a
Yeah.
real, but it's the. I mean, there's lots of dysphorias. There's the people that think that they don't have a limb or they don't want
Hmm.
their limb. Well,
Yeah.
well, we don't we don't help the people that say that they don't want their limb by cutting off their leg,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
yet, this is, and I know we're probably we're probably not going to get flagged. We're so
Yeah.
small,
At least that poor guy was solving crimes.
but it just it makes you remember that old story, the king's new clothes.
Uh-huh.
He's naked and everybody's if you don't see his clothes, there's something wrong with you. And
Yep.
my little kid's like, nah, he's nude. He's got no clothes on.
Hmm.
And we're being pushed, and it's a push to not even recognize reality anymore. And what you just mentioned, doctors. I mean, you can't even trust that because how
No.
many doctors, psychiatrists, surgeons, pharmacists
Hmm.
are all behind this
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
dysphoria.
I'm not a big supporter of them, but they do come out with some funny videos. Babylon Bee.
Yeah,
Was that,
yeah, I like
did you
the
see that
Babylon
one
Bee.
video? A girl walks in real fast. She walks into a store, and she wants to buy, I forgot what it was, an album, but she had to be a certain age. And she said, "How about cigarettes? No, you got to be a certain age. A tattoo? No, you got to be a certain." Goes through the whole list of things, and he says, "But if you want to remove your breast, we can do that
Oh
without your
my
parents,
goodness, it's
consent
sad.
and all these things." And it was just like, wow,
Man,
look at this society,
it's
right?
sick. It's sick.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota just passed a law like that. That
Hmm.
not that they're what they would consider a sanctuary state,
Hmm.
where if you're under the age of 16, you could come there and get whatever surgeries or things you want without the consent of your parents, without
Yeah.
notifying your parents. Boy, we have turned the corner.
Hmm. That's something.
This is bad.
Hmm.
This is really, really bad, and it should tell us where we are. And I'm working on a teaching, working on a message called the Principalities and Powers, because that's what we're watching.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. Principalities and powers are just getting us to discount everything we've ever heard was true and solid and real and medical and science. And now all of a sudden, with politics, it just goes out the window. It's whatever politics says. It's not about the science anymore, which is, again, leading us back to, well, at least from my humble opinion, why they canned Tucker. They couldn't deal with his voice. They couldn't deal with somebody telling the truth.
Yeah.
They don't
And if
want
anyone
that.
used to watch him, they know he hit every subject.
Oh,
Right?
he hit every subject. I used to, I would say religiously, at least 3 or 4 times a week, I'd watch Tucker at 8 o'clock.
Hmm.
And now, you know what? To me, Fox has become the Bud Light of the news media. If you understand that analogy.
And AON just offered him $25 million yesterday.
Listen, wherever this guy goes, he's going to have a platform. But it should really not just bother us. It should concern us.
Mm-hmm.
The power of these false narratives that are just being. If you don't go along with whatever, and we saw this, we just lived through it for how many years?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't go along with what the narrative is, man, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You're in trouble. But anyway, so that stuff that's coming, I thought I'd mention that. I guess it does have a little bit to do with what we're talking about today, because we're talking about what's really going on, right? The story of the Bible. We started it last week. That we talked a little bit about the greater Exodus, the idea that the story of the Bible is really told in segments. There's what literally happens, as we read the book that we've got here, the history of ancient Israel, and everything that happens means something to the people that actually lived it. But now we find out all these years later that Father was actually speaking about using the beginning to tell us about the ending.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a bigger meaning. And this is not, and the reason I guess we sort of brought this up because this is not the way modern religion thinks about God, about the Bible, at all. It's not a continuing story. It's more of a.
It's a whole new thing. Yeah.
Whole new thing. The story ended, or really, I guess it's more so thought about as like a parenthesis or a comma. Like Father did all of this stuff back then. And then now he's done with, a certain group of people, and he's moved on to a different group of people. And man, that's just not true.
Yeah, it's a lie.
and we're being asked to believe. Here's the connection. We're being asked to believe something that's just not true. Mm-hmm. It's not true. So then the question is, why do we have them? Why did Father preserve this story? Because it is. I mean, it's preserved. Now, of course, we've got all sorts of different translations, and all sorts of stuff has been done, and over the years. But bottom line is, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Ultimately, the story is found in every translation.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter what you have.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to get the best translations and understanding as we can. We should, we should be testing everything. Mm-hmm. But to be quite honest with you, man, I don't care what Bible you give me. I really don't. I don't care what Bible you give me. Even if they changed something somewhere, if you know your Bible, you can find it somewhere else.
Oh yeah,
where nobody looked before.
Yep.
And the story is preserved for us because we are reliving the story, and that's the thing. That's one of the things I think that is really missing, that we didn't hear in the religious world that we were in, that this story is actually being told over again, or really the story's never ended.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It's really the continuous story, but that the story goes in cycles, and it's the same story over and over and over again, and each time, each iteration of it is bigger and bigger and bigger.
Bigger scale, yeah.
And the purpose why why Father has preserved this story, the Word of God. The purpose why he has reserved this story is so that people of our time, all these many, many years, if we're at the end of the 10 toes, so to speak, of the statue, and we are, that we could look, because people say, well, why read about ancient Israel, right? That's old news. No, it's not. No, it's continuing news, because it's happening over and over and over again, including the concept of an exodus. And tonight, the title for tonight is In the Wilderness, because technically speaking, I guess you could make a case that the story of the wilderness wanderings is happening all over again, which leads us to where we talked about last week, the greater exodus. And really the greater exodus, in summary, winds up to be resurrection.
Yeah.
That's going to be the great exodus. The first resurrection and the second resurrection is going to be the overall fulfillment of the great exodus.
Yeah, and if anyone missed last week, the two New Testament scriptures that we used was 1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 11,
right,
and then Hebrews chapter 3, and even all of chapter 4.
Right. These are examples. That's what 1 Corinthians 10 says. These are examples. And so what I thought we would do today is with that in mind, right? If you have that mindset, once, ever see one of those pictures where it's like got a whole bunch of dots on it, and when you look at it, you really can't tell what it is.
You can't connect the dot.
Yeah, you got to look at it, and you got go on different angles, and they're all different colors. And then when somebody points out, oh, it's a picture of a woman or a picture of a man or whatever, whatever the picture is, once you see it,
now you can't unsee it.
And all the dots come out, it's like, oh, obviously there it is. And of course, once you see it, like it just said, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then no matter how many times you look at it, boom, it just pops right off the page.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we need to realize in the reading of our Bibles is not only are we reading about ancient history, absolutely, it's about history, it's about what happened, it's a story of how Father dealt with the ancient house of Israel. But everything, and I mean everything that is written down is prophecy. All of it.
Yep.
Everything is prophecy. Everything somehow, some way is telling us the bigger story, or telling us the story all over again. I think, what is it, Revelation, that says that Messiah is the spirit of prophecy.
Yeah.
Right? Messiah said that to us himself when he's here. We have that as the New Testament accounts.
Yep.
Search the scriptures. What is it? I don't know.
In them.
John chapter 8 or something like that. He tells them, search the scriptures. You think you have salvation in the scriptures, he's telling them. He's telling them, but no, they speak of me. It's about me.
Volume of the scroll,
Yeah, he's the volume of the scroll. So I wanted to take a look at another passage. Actually, Sister Cheryl sent me a really good passage in Hosea that we're going to take a look at as well. But I wanted to take with these eyes now that we see the picture and all the dots, that this story is actually happening all over again. And what you'll find is then when you go back and you read the Torah, when you read Ezekiel, which is what we're going to look at tonight, you then begin to realize, wait a minute, Ezekiel's talking about us, or really Ezekiel's talking about what has happened over the last 2,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not necessarily an event that's going to happen in the last 3.5 years of history or anything like that. Though obviously things are going to get bad. They're going to get really, really bad before Messiah comes. But once you see that picture, and we're going to take a look at Ezekiel, because Ezekiel, I'm hoping maybe at some point to do a study in Ezekiel, because there really is a rhythm and a rhyme to reading the book of Ezekiel, because it's about what's going on, but like every other book, it's about so much bigger. And I thought we'd take a look at Ezekiel chapter 20 tonight, guys, because I think it epitomizes And we'll take a look at some other chapters too. But I think it really epitomizes or gives the example of the first Exodus, which is a historical event, right? And then it describes what Father's doing as we are in the wilderness, as we are in the process of a second Exodus right now, that we're all living it right now. We've all understood the Passover, right? We've all put the blood over the doorpost of our own heart, I guess you could say, if you want to, colloquialize the thing. We've all done that. I don't want to say we said a prayer and that's it, because we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. But we understand the covenant. We understand who he is. We understand that we are grafted into the house of Israel.
Amen. That's right.
That the story is that we are literally the house of Israel. And this story of an Exodus is happening all over again based on, and here's the key, everybody, based on all of the patterns that happened in the first Exodus. Which is why it's so important then to go back and read and understand the first Exodus. Which just kind of makes sense to me why there has been such a push for the last, 1,700 years, 1,600 years to remove the power, the efficacy of that story. And to say that, it really doesn't mean anything to us. It's not for us.
Exactly.
Right? How many times have we heard that? It's not for us. Well, that's
way too many times.
That's the enemy, man. That's the spirit of the false prophet, because he doesn't want us to know this.
Nope.
He doesn't want us to understand this stuff. He doesn't want us he doesn't want us to see what the picture is actually about. But has instead given us all sorts of other concepts and ideas. So here we go. This is the book of Ezekiel, and brother, just chime in, and I'm gonna read.
Do you want me to start reading?
Yeah. Let's do this, because it's actually it's a chapter that's got 49 verses in it, and verses 1 through 32. Now, again, it's part of a bigger story, and the whole book of Ezekiel is amazing. We're gonna get into some different parts of it, but here in Ezekiel 20, he's doing the comparison between what you did getting out of Egypt and what Father's going to do. And of course, the going to do has to do with Messiah, has to do with the second Passover that's coming, and it has to do with us, who we are, and what is going on. So the first, like I said, the first 30 verses or so is discussing the first Exodus, and it gives us some information that we might not have known about the first Exodus, but it gives us it from Father's perspective of what he saw in us, and then he compares it between verses 33 and 44 to what's happening now. Now, again, if you're Ezekiel and you're writing this, or the people of Ezekiel's day that are having this read to them, you don't get this. Even Judaism today would look at this and say, "Oh, well, no, he's talking about." He's talking about Jews. He's talking about Judaism. He's talking about, coming back to the land. And in part, it is, but it's much bigger than that. That's important. There's no doubt that that's important. And I'm going to hopefully work on a study about the place of the Jews today and how we should be looking at what's happening. So anyway, with that as a preface, go ahead.
And we know that because even in the beginning of Ezekiel, he's telling them, right, speak to the house of Judah and the house, right? So he's including both houses right from the beginning of the book. But I'll start for you because my voice is starting to go out. My family's getting a little bit sick, but
sorry to hear
I'll
that,
read
brother.
as long as I can, and then you can just chime in, bro. I know you'll get in. All right.
Well, if this was 2 years ago, we would say that the science tells us you need to wear a mask so I don't catch your cold.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Remember that?
Isn't that crazy?
Online.
Through a Zoom call. Wear your mask.
Oh my goodness. I know. We're definitely stepping on toes.
Today.
We're venting a little bit. We'll get a check or something from YouTube, I'm sure. Actually, now you're allowed to talk about a lot of this stuff because it's all come out.
Yeah. All those drops and stuff.
Yeah, it's all come out. All the truth is coming out, and they can't hide it. But Anyway.
Now we know why they wanted to wait 75 years.
Yeah, that too. All right, we can just keep going. Let's jump into
and
this.
And then just to give reference, I'm going to read from the Bible Hub on the New King James, just to let everyone know we can still get the same story. All right, chapter 20, verse 1.
Yeah, go for it.
It came to pass, ready? In the 7th year, in the 5th month, on the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of Yah and sat before me. Then the word of Yah came to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the elders of Israel, and say to them, Thus saith Yah Elohim, have you come to inquire of me? As I live, says Yah Elohim, I will not be inquired of by you. Will you judge them, son of man? Will you judge them? Then make known to them the abominations of their fathers. Say to them.
Hold on a second. Let's wait. So Yah is telling the leadership of the house of Israel, they're in exile, obviously, in Ezekiel's day. I don't even want to hear from you guys.
Yep.
Basically, that's what he just said, right? Don't inquire of me. Don't come to the prophet and ask of me, because you don't get it. You don't understand what the story is about. Okay, so with that then, verse 5.
Right? Say to them, thus says Yah Elohim, on the day when I chose Israel and raised my hand in an oath to the descendants of the house of Jacob and made myself known to them in the land of Egypt, I raised my hand in an oath to them, saying, I am Yah your Elohim. On that day I raised my hand in an oath to them to bring them out of the make sure I wasn't reading the same verse over.
No, yeah,
to bring them out of the land of Egypt into the land that I had searched out for them, flowing with milk and honey, the glory of all lands.
All right, let's hold on a second. So we know this to be physically true, right? This is historical. This is what
actually happened.
Actually happened. But the prophetic meaning to all of this is the land flowing with milk and honey it is, or it will be, that land in the Middle East, but it's so much bigger than that. It's a whole other Jerusalem.
Yep.
And and whether Ezekiel understood it, which maybe he did, maybe he didn't, I don't know. Certainly the elders did not understand it when they were inquiring of him. But this is how Father's speaking. So you got to understand that dual meaning as we're reading this. So when we did our manas our morning manas this week, when in Ezekiel 18, when he says the righteous, all souls are mine, the righteous soul will live, he doesn't just mean live
physically, yeah,
because everybody lives, right?
Yeah.
I guess until you don't, but everybody lives, or that the unrighteous soul will die, because everybody dies. He's talking about
the second,
eternal life. Right? So there it is in Ezekiel, talking about eternal life. Same concept, same principle here. All right, verse 7.
Then I said to them, each of you, throw away the abominations which are before his eyes, and do not defile yourselves with the idols of Egypt. I am Yah your Elohim.
I.e., the problem of today.
Yeah, same thing, right?
And actually, verse 8, the problem.
But they rebelled against me.
The problem of today. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. They rebelled against me and would not obey me. They did not all cast away the abominations which were before their eyes, nor did they forsake the idols of Egypt. And then I said, I will pour out my fury on them and fulfill my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. But I acted for my name's sake, but it should not be profaned before the Gentiles among whom they were.
All right. I want to stop right there for a second. Because this is important. Because, we all sort of, and you see this certainly amongst even, Torah believers, the whole argument about the name and how to pronounce it and that kind of stuff. And there's merit to that. It's like I said, it's good to research and to test everything. But this goes right back to the commandment, not to profane his name.
His name, yeah.
Which goes directly back to Moses when Israel worships the golden calf, because actually he's actually referring to some of this right here. So they worship the golden calf, and of course, Father's furious with them He's going to wipe them out. And when you read it, it kind of sounds like when you read it, that Father was done with them. He's going to wipe them out. And somehow Moses changed his mind.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
Mm-mm.
Do you really think
man does not persuade Yah?
Yeah, any one of us are going to persuade Father to do anything?
Mm-hmm.
But what that story does tell us, the lesson of that story is, because it wasn't Father who was being tested there. It was Moses who was being tested there, because Father says to him, I'm going to wipe them all out, and Moses,
start over with you. Yeah.
I'm going to start over with you. I'm going to make a better nation from you. This was a test of pride for Moses.
Yeah, the flesh could have easily been like, you know what? That sounds pretty cool.
Like just about every other preacher there has ever been throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
What, I get my own TV show?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get my own church. I get my own fellow. I get my own nation. Moses could have said, yeah, I'm down with that. But obviously, Moses' words are, hey, no, don't do that. I'd rather you kill me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that, what will the nations say about your name?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How will they reflect on your name?
Mm-hmm. How we took him out of Egypt just to kill them in the desert? Yeah.
Your name will be diminished.
Mm-hmm.
Your name will be made vain, empty. Thus, the commandment not to take Yah's name in vain. It doesn't mean not to say a cuss word. People say them all. I'm not going to say it online, but you know what I'm saying. That's not what he's referring to. He's saying to do that which brings dishonor to his name, not the pronunciation of it, the truth of it, the character of it is the issue here. And so you see that in the story of Moses, and obviously he passes the test, right? Because he says, no, I rather I don't want your name to be dishonored amongst the nations. And what is Father saying right here to them? This is a direct line back to Moses. But I acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the eyes of the nations among whom they were. And that's still going on today.
Yep. Moses did his job as the mediator, right?
Yeah, he did his job. But I've heard so many misinterpretations of that.
Yeah.
That somehow Moses changed his mind. And man, you can't.
No.
What could any one of us possibly say to change the mind of Elohim?
Nope. Only one time in Scripture is referenced where Yah listened to a man, but it was with his will. It was with Joshua.
Yeah, but if it's not, but if Father's not, if Father didn't already think of it, that's why I love, I know that there's all sorts of things that have happened throughout history where people try to predict when Messiah is coming, and I do think we're supposed to know pretty close, and that's a whole other study, a whole other teaching for another time. But how many groups have picked names and sold all their belongings and went up on some hill and dressed in white and waited for the coming of the Master.
Independence Day, remember?
Oh yes, what a terrible example, but true. And and they sell all their possessions and they go and they do whatever, waiting for the Messiah. Could you imagine? I mean, imagine doing that. Imagine you sold everything you had. Right, you ran up your credit cards. They were just, you just maxed them all out. You got all the neat toys, and then you gave all that stuff away. And then you go out and you dress in a robe and you go up on some type of mountain and you're up there. You're like, "Come, Master, come." And you know what? My particular take on it is, even if you guessed the right date, I think Father would change it. Just to spite you. But what happens the day after that?
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, go ahead, brother.
Are we on 9?
Yeah.
Okay, but I acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the Gentiles among whom they were, in whose sight I had made myself known to them, to bring them out of the land of Egypt. Therefore I made them go out of the land of Egypt and brought them into the wilderness.
All right. So there's the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
After Passover, where do you go?
Yep.
The
Through
wilderness.
Yep.
Exodus brings you to the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, brother.
And I gave them my statutes and showed them my judgments, which if a man does, he shall live by them.
All right. This is all of morning manna,
Yeah.
for the the whole week. And you know what really this is saying? The just shall live
Yep.
by faith.
Yep.
That's what
James,
this means.
yeah.
This is what is it? Hosea. I forgot what chapter it is. Somebody can online give me the scripture for that. In Hosea, where it says that the just shall live by faith. It's quoted by Saul a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it means.
Yep. And this is obviously Leviticus 18:5
right.
as well.
Those who are justified, those who have been made right, who have right standing with Father because of His grace, not because of anything you've done, but because of His grace. Those people will live faithfully, and to live faithfully means exactly what this says in verse 11 and 12. So read that one more time, verse 11 and 12.
And that's how Father shows us His love, by grace.
Yeah.
What was it? 11 and 12?
Yeah, 11 and 12 again.
And I gave them my statutes and showed them my judgments, which if a man does, he shall live by them. Moreover, I also gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between them and me, and that they might know that I am Yah who sanctifies them.
All right. Notice here, guys, it's not Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sabbath. So we're talking about feast days. We're talking about jubilees.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the weekly seventh day
Top of the seventh day, Sabbath.
We're talking about all of them. All of them are a sign, an insignia, a mark.
Beautiful.
They are a mark. And again, if you don't do them, because the whole pattern is that what we've been told, just like our culture is, truth is changing. You don't need to do that anymore. You don't do that, you're never going to understand end times. You're never going to understand the patterns. You're not going to get the story. So what happens is we start to tell a different story.
Yep.
And that's what we're doing.
That's what we've done, right?
All right. So that's what it was supposed to be like. But then verse 13 says,
and yet the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not walk in my statutes. They despised my judgments, which if a man does, he shall live by them. And they greatly defiled my Sabbaths.
All right.
Then
I'm sorry. I got to keep interjecting here.
Yeah.
You realize what we're reading, right? 2,000 years of history right there.
Yeah, about to say what we're doing right now.
What verse 13 encompasses the last almost 2,000 years of history. For those of us that have come out of the Passover, the second Passover with Messiah, have over the hundreds, the millennia that have passed, walked the wilderness, we've done the same things.
Yep.
We rebelled in the wilderness. We said we will not walk in His ways and His laws. We rejected His right rulings. We say, the just shall walk by faith, but we're not actually doing it. And we have greatly profaned His Sabbaths.
Wow, it's sad, huh?
That's sad. And now look what's coming, because everything is cyclical. Then I said, I will pour out my wrath on them in the wilderness to consume them. He did it once.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because that defeats the whole that grace message that we hear no matter what.
Yeah. We're going to deal with that. We're going to deal with that tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about that idea of that we hear within the religious world of once saved, always saved, or easy believism, that type of stuff. We're gonna touch on that, because it's I'm sorry, it's not true.
It's not the
that's not true. And that's not to say that we don't come by faith. We do, but it's just we don't understand what that means.
No.
All right, brother.
14. But I acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the Gentiles, in whose sight I had brought them out, So I also raised my hand in an oath to them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, the glory of all lands. 16. Because they despised my judgments and did not walk in my statutes, but profaned my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. Nevertheless, my eye spared them from destruction. I did not make an end of them in the wilderness. But I said to their children in the wilderness, do not walk in the statutes of your fathers, nor observe their judgments, nor defile yourselves with their idols. I am Yah your Elohim. Walk in my statutes, keep my judgments, and do them. Hallow my Sabbaths, and they will be a sign between me and you, that you may know that I am Yah your Elohim.
All right, this is an interesting point. So he's saying the one generation who should have made it to the land isn't going to make it to the land.
Nope.
But everybody, what is it? If you go back, I don't know if it's 18 years old or 20 years old and under of the house of Israel that go through the 40 years, they have an opportunity to make it into the land. And I think it's Hebrews that uses that same analogy and warns us because the writer of Hebrews realizes we're walking the whole thing all over again.
Yep, and that was an example for us,
And he's saying, do not harden your hearts as they did, in that day when they did not enter into Father's rest. Now, if this is a physical example that has a much bigger spiritual reality to it, then is he telling us that there are those who have been given the instruction, have the opportunity, have come out of Passover, have come out of Egypt, but if they do these same things, they will not enter into his rest? And we're not talking about just going, taking a trip to Israel.
Yeah. But do you notice, right, that the first group didn't obey his statutes, his commandments. The second group, and we know it for a fact because it's history, we read it in Deuteronomy, he gave them the same law all over again. So what's the difference now in where we are? Did he change his mind and give us a new law? No, still the same law right? So I think that pattern shows that he never changed his statutes and commandments, right?
Yeah.
Now he gives us the the ability with the Spirit. But I'm just saying how you see it right here. He gives it all over again. What am I, 21?
Yeah. Let me roll up here. Yep. Verse 21.
Okay. Notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me. They did not walk in my statutes and were not careful to observe my judgments, which, if a man does, he shall live by them. I tell you.
It just keeps coming over.
We're so thick-headed, we got to keep on hearing, right?
It's just over and what is it? Stiff-necked, hard-hearted. Here we are.
Yeah. Yep. But they profaned my Sabbaths. Then I said I would pour out my fury on them and fulfill my anger against them in the wilderness. 22. Nevertheless, I withdrew my hand and acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned in the sight of the Gentiles, in whose sight I had brought them out.
All right,
notice he didn't say Moses persuaded me.
Right, yeah, Moses had nothing to do with this. But the argument that Moses made was correct. He did
it was
not,
righteous.
He did not want Father's name profane. So, guys, as we're reading this, we're reading what has happened in history because we've lived this.
Yep.
We've lived this over and over in every generation. We've lived this, and it's happening still right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
23. Also, I raised my hand in an oath to those in the wilderness that I would scatter them among the Gentiles and disperse them throughout the countries.
Now, what he's talking about is he's referring to Moses now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He's referring to Deuteronomy 28, 29, 30, 31. This is exactly what Moses said, because I know you're going to do this. I know you guys aren't going to obey. You're not going to do what he said, and you're going to get scattered. So he's telling us what's coming. Now, obviously, the house of Israel, as this is being written to Ezekiel, they are scattered, right? They've been sent to Babylon. But this scattering, so to speak, Father's already told them it's temporary. You're coming back in 70 years. They knew that or they should have known that. Jeremiah clearly says it. They should have known that getting into the land. So the scattering he's talking about here is not that scattering.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they were scattered amongst the nations, no doubt. Yes, they were scattered amongst Babylon. But here, Father's speaking to them in there, and he's talking about another time it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
24 or 25?
Let's start good 24.
Because they had not executed my judgments, but had despised my statutes, profaned my Sabbaths, and their eyes were fixed on their fathers' idols. Therefore I also gave them up to statutes Therefore I also gave them up to statutes that were not good, and judgments by which they could not live. And
What's the analogy today?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what a woman is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I gave them up to laws and rules and ideas of what's right and wrong, and everybody just, sucked it right up.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that something?
Yep.
Go ahead, brother.
And I pronounced them unclean because of their ritual gifts, and that they were caused all their firstborn to pass through the fire, that I might make them desolate, and that they might know that I am Yah.
All right, I gotta read this in the scriptures version.
Yeah,
it's kind of neat. So he says, verse 25, and I also gave them up to laws. Let me highlight this so everybody can see it. So I also gave them up to laws that were not good. Right, we kind of made a comment on that. It's happened before. It's happening now. And what laws is he referring to? What actions? What things that were considered good? What things that were legal? What things that were considered moral or ethical in their day? Then transpose it to where we are today. Yeah. And I defiled them by their own gifts, as they passed all their firstborn through the fire. We're talking about the killing of children, babies, murder. Boy, I mean, so much to say on that. So much to say on that. So that I might stun them, it says. So that they know that I am Yah. And look where we are today. Look where we are. I don't even know what the number is. Since 70, whatever it is, since the legalization. And what are we fighting for today here in our culture? The right to do it again.
Yep.
Again, I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, brother, verse 27.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's sad. 27. Therefore, son of man, speak to the house of Israel and say to them, thus says Yah Elohim, in this too your fathers have blasphemed me, by being unfaithful to me, when I brought them into the land concerning which I had raised my hand in an oath to give them. And they saw all the high hills and all the thick trees. There they offered their sacrifices and provoked me with their offerings. They were also sent up. There they also sent up their sweet aroma and poured out their drink offerings.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man, but as I'm reading that, what pops into my mind? Hanukkah trees and Christmas trees and wreaths and bunnies and and which is not much different than what was going on before. But in my mind's eye, we're reading this. And this is what he's talking about. Go ahead, brother.
And then I said to them, what is this high place to which you go? So its name is called Bama. What does it say in the script?
It's called high place. It's kind of funny. It's called Obama. It's called Bama.
Literally high place.
It's not Obama, but it's called Bama, which is there's obviously a joke in there somewhere.
Not the YouTube.
You want to trace this all back to something? Well, there it is. Oh boy!
This day.
Oh man, we're gonna get in trouble, man.
Yeah. All right, 30. We're almost there. Therefore, say to the house of Israel.
Are we still online? They didn't shut us down.
Are we still live?
Are we still live, guys? Are we still live? People still watching?
Give a thumbs up.
Okay, verse 31.
31. For when you offer your gifts and make your sons pass through the fire, you defile yourselves with all your idols, even to this day. So shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, says Yah Elohim, I will not be inquired of by you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Now take all the analogies that we sort of just, flippantly,
Run over, yeah.
but we just went over and plug in that verse to where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
And what is he saying? Do these things? And you think that you can inquire of me?
Mm-hmm.
You think you can call on me?
Yep.
Wow, this is
So
pretty.
if we claim to be walking in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and do
Wow.
all those things, are we really, right?
It's so funny. I had somebody the other day again ask me, so are you Jewish? I get that. I get that all the time. And at first, I used to try to explain, it's not Judaism and it's this, and we believe in Messiah, and then eventually I just got to the point where I'm just like, yeah,
Yep.
all right,
Easier.
yeah, it's just but then I thought about it and I said, you know what the answer really should be to that. And somebody says, well, where do you are you Jewish? The answer should be no, but my God is. I serve the God of Israel. And I serve the Messiah, who is Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not Italian guy.
What do you do?
Messiah's not Italian.
What God do you serve?
Mm-hmm.
Can't get around that one, bro.
Nope.
I serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
That's right.
Go ahead, brother.
That's right. 32. What you have in your mind shall never be. When you say, we will be like the Gentiles, like the families in other countries, serving wood and stone. Wow. It's the same thing you said before. You see Christmas and all. I see how they mix everything right in. It's
it doesn't matter. It's
matter.
A secular holiday. It's a religious holiday. It's it's just everything for everybody. And it's sad in one sense because well, it's not sad, but it makes us stick out like sore thumbs.
Oh yeah,
it really does. But I'm fine with that. I really am. I'm fine with that. But you realize how much it really does, because we say no, or we say no, we won't do that, or we won't eat that, or we won't go there, or we won't. And and what's happening today, especially in our culture, you and I were touching on this just before we went live. How there is no doubt, even with the whole Tucker thing, there is a tremendous opposition in our nation against Christianity. Against now, ultimately we would say biblical principles, right?
Yeah.
But technically, it really is a backlash against Christianity. It's called Christian nationalism, right? They're all certainly upset over the Roe v. Wade and all sorts of things. And even Tucker did something about praying at some meeting he had over the weekend before he got canned. There is an absolute backlash in our culture with what we're pushing for men, for children, for transitioning, for all. There is a backlash against Christianity. And I thought, because if for most of eschatology, for most end time thinking, what we've been taught for a long time is that the beast, the nation, Rome, because that's who the beast is. The beast is a nation. It's not a guy. It's a nation. False prophet is a religion, not necessarily a guy, but a religion. And I heard you some back there. And,
sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. It's cool. For the most part, most think that the beast and the false prophet are in line with one another, that they work in tandem together, and I don't think so. I think, because it says that the false prophet creates a religion, an idol to the beast, but that doesn't mean that they work together. And you look at what's going on today, and they're not working together. They are in opposition to one another. And yet, obviously when Messiah comes, both get cast into the lake of fire. But there's nothing explicitly that says that they work together.
Mm-hmm.
It's that they work. It's that they are both in opposition to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. One is a false religion, the other one as a nation opposed to, and both of them empowered by the dragon. But I'm not sure. I'm not positive that they actually. Maybe there have been seasons when their goals have been aligned
together. Yeah.
But not today. Not today,
Wow.
bro. Not today.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought that came to me.
All right. With 33 or we're
Where
at
are
34?
we? Yeah, 34.
All right. This is good, right? And
Wait,
I will
actually,
bring
no.
you out-
No. Yeah, go to 33.
33?
All right. So
Yeah.
he just told him what's going to happen. So this is real important. This is so now we've gotten to the point in the story. So if you understand everything that's just been read, Father is explicitly talking about the first Exodus and the wilderness wanderings of the people and all the things they did all the way up to that day when they're in Babylon trying to be inquired of through the prophet. All right, so now the picture sort of changes or morphs. I guess if it was a movie, we'd have a fade out and then a fade into some new scene, and the new scene is what Father's going to do. And that picks up in verse 33. Go ahead.
It says, as I live, says Yah Elohim, surely with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with fury poured out, I will rule over you.
All right, so we got to stop right there because you know what those terms are. Passover.
Yep. Outstretched arm.
Those are Passover terms. You can go to what is it, Exodus 12, and you'll see these terms. With an outstretched arm, I pulled you out of Egypt. With fury poured out, I pulled you out of. So from a prophetic sense, we have to realize he's telling them not what did happen. He's telling them what's going to happen. So in essence, he has just promised a second Passover.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make
He's
sense?
not saying I did. He's saying I will.
I will.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead, brother.
34. And I will bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the countries where you are scattered with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with fury poured out. I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there I will plead my case with you face to face. We did the Moses, right?
Yeah, it's another Moses thing. Again, this is a whole This is a second Passover scenario. And again, he's using the same terms. What am I going to do? Even when I'm going to bring you into the wilderness.
Yeah.
The wilderness of the nations. But we are already scattered amongst the nations. But the process of Passover is going to go on again. The types, the shadows are going to go on again. But go ahead, verse 36.
Just as I pleaded my case with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so I will plead my case with you, says Yah Elohim.
You know, when I was just thinking about, verse 35, it says, and I shall bring you to the wilderness of the peoples, and there shall enter to you judgment with you face to face. Because that idea of speaking face to face is what Father refers to when with Miriam and Aaron, with the whole leprosy thing that Miriam gets, because they're talking nasty about the shepherd,
His wife.
right? About his wife, having the type of wife he's got, and Father says to them, listen, when I speak to prophets among you, and obviously there were prophets among them, he speaks to them in dreams,
Yep.
and
Dreams,
and
yeah.
visions. He says, but when I speak to Moses, I speak to him face to face. Now, we've got to understand that language, because face to face, does that mean that Moses spoke face to face with Father?
No.
Because Messiah later on says no man has ever seen Father.
Well, we know that it can't be true because remember you put him in the cleft of the rock when he walked, and he only saw his backside. So,
But who did Moses speak with? Well, he had to speak with Peniel. He had to speak with
The representative,
who
yeah.
is the face or the mouth, the peh, That's what the
Yeah.
Hebrew word, the letter Peh means. The mouth, the face of Elohim, the one who speaks. We would say the angel of the Lord, right? The burning bush, the holy ground. Well, he spoke with him face to face, but it's not literally what we're saying face to face, but that's as face to face as you can get until after the millennium.
Yeah, especially in his flesh, he would have been dead.
So he would have been dead. So he's saying he spoke face to face. He spoke in a way where in a way with Moses, in a way that he had not really spoken to with anybody else. He brings him up to the mountain, sees all this crazy stuff, gets the Torah, etc., etc., etc. So if he's saying that this is going to happen again, and I shall bring you into the wilderness of the peoples and shall enter into a judgment with you face to face. Well, who else speaks with Father face to face? Messiah. It's got to be Messiah, right? I do nothing of my own accord. I only do what Father has told me to do. And so I think I think we can make the case that this is a reference, an allusion to what you and I would look back on and say, oh, well, if it's a second Passover and speaking face to face, it's Messiah.
Yep.
All right. Sorry.
37.
Yep.
And I will make you pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. I will purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me.
All right. I'm sorry. I keep stopping you like every 2 verses. Guys, do you understand what was just said? You know, because we're going to touch on this tomorrow, but we have this idea that just, everybody comes. You know, say the prayer, the formula, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're in. That's not what this is saying. Here he's saying, I'm going to make you pass under the rod. And, we've talked about this before. The rod is, so many, sheep or whatever go, 9 die, one gets in, a 10. And he's clearly telling us here, not it's not everybody. It's not going to be everybody. It is going to be the people from amongst the nations, but it's not. And actually, he's going to reiterate this in a little bit as the verses go on. But I want you to realize that we are in a purging process right now. That whatever is happening to you, whatever you're going through, whatever trial, tribulation, whatever hurt, whatever sickness, it's all part of the purging process. It's all part of the process to see, will you walk in the bond of the covenant or not?
Yeah.
Because I think we keep forgetting Father's picking a people to dwell with him in, and I don't even know if we can wrap our minds around this concept yet, but to dwell with him forever. And I'm sorry, he doesn't want everybody. Maybe that's not the right way of saying it. He loves everybody, right? For Yah so loved the world, but he knows everybody's not coming. He knows it's not going to be everybody. It can't be, right? Because if you don't have fruit, what does he do to the branch?
Yep.
He cuts it off. So we really, and this is where we need to learn the lessons of the first Exodus, not to make the same mistakes in our daily lives that those people made. And yet, you know what we do? We do the same thing. We do the same thing. We've got Korahs. We've got, the people that follow him. We've got people, all the same issues that they went through, we're going through. And it's a process of passing under the rod. I guess
another word we can use is even pruning, right? A pruning process, right?
Yeah, same. I'm the true vine. My father's the vine dresser.
Yep. And anyone that does any plant cultivation, or they know you can damage the plant for a period, but then it grows and it comes out better and stronger and more fruit.
But this is amazing. I'm going to purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. So, that's a heavy. I mean, if you really give some time to think about that's a heavy statement. But go ahead, brother.
39.
Yeah.
And then as for you, O
Oh, wait, wait,
house
wait,
of
wait, wait,
Israel.
wait, wait. No, 38. Read 38 again, because there's another part
Oh
to
yeah,
it for
we
this.
only got to the first half. I will purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me, and I will bring them out of the country where they dwell, but they shall not enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am Yah.
All right. So here is saying the land of Israel, but ultimately and prophetically, what is this really speaking of? The kingdom.
Yeah.
The kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So the purging process is to purge out and remove those who transgress, those who are rebels amongst him. And despite whatever sort of man-made, modern religious concepts and ideas there are, they will not enter the land.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Messiah speaks of similar things. He says, "Many will come unto me on that day and say, Master, Master." Right? We did this, we did that, we did the other thing. And what's his response?
Yep. Depart. Yeah.
Depart from me. So it's not what we thought it was.
Oh no. Nope.
It's not what we thought it was. Go ahead, verse 39.
And as for you, O house of Israel, thus says Yah Elohim, go, serve every one of you his idols, and hereafter, if you will not obey me, excuse me, but profane my holy name no more with your gifts and your idols.
So let me make sure everybody understands what you just said.
Yeah, read that over.
Go. He's telling him, fine. Go serve your idols. I think we read it sort of in Romans where he says he gives us up, right? You want to do these things? Fine, he'll give you up.
Your own delusions, yeah.
And afterwards, if you are not listening to me, but do not profane my set apart name. Don't by your actions, by the way you live, you say you believe in God, but you are doing all of these other things or not doing the things he's asked. That's how you bring vanity to Elohim's name. That's how you break the commandment that says, do not take Father's name in vain. That's how you do it. And boy, that's going on in spades.
Yep, it's true. For on my holy mountain, on the mountain height of Israel, says Yah Elohim, there all the house of Israel, all of them in the land, shall serve me. There I will accept them, and there I will require your offerings and the first fruits of your sacrifices together with all your holy things. And I will accept you as a sweet aroma when I bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the countries where you have been scattered.
Yeah, I want you to notice that he's saying we are.
Yeah, sweet aroma.
We're the sweet aroma. We're the offering. We're the first fruits.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Right? No, that's a good point. That's why I specified the sweet aroma, because when we go through the Torah, we know all the sacrifices were a sweet aroma. And I will be hallowed in you before the Gentiles. 42. Then you shall know that I am Yah, when I bring you into the land of Israel, into the country for which I raised my hand in an oath to give to your fathers. And there you shall remember your ways and all your doings with which you were defiled, and you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight because of all the evils that you have committed.
That's a deep verse.
Yeah, I was about to say that's right.
That's a deep verse. Thinking back and saying, "Oh my goodness, look at all the stuff we did."
Yeah.
How happy. What a wonderful day that'll be, but also that'll be tough to think back. Oh man, we really messed up.
44. Then you shall know that I am Yah when I have dealt with you for my name's sake, not according to your wicked ways, nor according to your corrupt doings, O house of Israel, says Yah Elohim.
All right, I think we can.
I think you wanted to end at 44.
Yeah, we're gonna
right?
end at 44. I mean, there's more than. And actually, I can't believe it. The hour has gone by.
Oh yeah, 8:40. Ooh.
Yeah, way over.
We got bonus manna today.
Yeah. Some hidden manna. I hope everybody, and I know we're just sort of reading it tonight and just doing a commentary flyby as we're going over verse, but I hope everybody can see that as we're doing this, that not only is this referring to what was going on in Ezekiel's day, but this is prophecy. This is a description of what we are actually going through now. We are in the wilderness now. We have gone through Passover now. We are in the process of the Exodus now. And there is a great gathering. And ultimately where all of this is leading up to is Joshua is going to bring us into the land.
Yep.
That's the pattern. And that's why the book is preserved, because it is full of patterns. And if you get rid of the book, you get rid of the patterns, then you don't know what the story is. And then we just start making up stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we do a lot of that. And certainly we are living in a day, I think it's as Isaiah says, where good is being spoken of as evil and evil is being spoken of as good. We're being told to believe things and do things and count things as real, though they're not. We're being told this is truth, but it's not. So don't give up.
That's right.
Don't give up. I know everybody around you may say, well, it's the moral, ethical, nice thing to do. Don't give up. I'm not telling you to be nasty or mean, but don't give up. Hold on to your belief. Hold on to your understanding. All right, I guess we'll stop. I want to get to Hosea, but we'll maybe talk about that another time.
Extend it to next week.
This is a big topic. This really is. This is a really, really big topic. But this will, once you get this, like I said, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then once you see it, it helps you deal with whatever it is that you're going through, because it's part of the process, right? I'm either being purged, there are people being purged, or I'm being brought under the rod, or I'm being chastised, or I'm being called out. There's a process. There's a thing we're going through, and all of us are going through it in different ways, but we're all going through it, and all of us are heading towards the same goal, and that is to get into the land.
Good point, brother.
All right, man. That went by pretty quick.
Yeah, that did. It really did. But so that's what, as soon as you start reading the scripture, you lost. You're out of every other thought. It's just
sure. And I keep stopping you like every other verse. So.
Oh no, it's all right. It was good. Hey, I'm glad. But right before we went on, I was having a coughing fit.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. We had a good time, brother. Yep. Good conversation.
Good conversation, man. I love you, man.
I love you too. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom, bro. Peace.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. I hope that you enjoyed that conversation, and continue reading. We're gonna go through the book of Ezekiel at some point, but great chapter. Read through it again. Take a look at it, and then as you read all the other chapters, once you see it, you're going to see it all over the place. You're going to see that Father's been telling this story over and over and over again, and we're living it. We've been living it for 2,000 years since Messiah, and we're still living it today. So when you read with an open mind and an open heart. Guys, join us tomorrow morning at 10:45 for our weekend service. It's Shabbat. It's Saturday. We look forward to it. And, of course, starting Monday, we go back to our morning manners. Guys, have a wonderful rest of the evening. Rest up tonight and enjoy your Sabbath day tomorrow. Guys, until then, Yah bless and Shabbat Shalom.